Hello and welcome into another CD pickups video. I haven't done one in a while. I haven't been banned as much recently as far as music goes, but yeah, I've got a decent stack here, and as usual, it's like a mix between cheap stuff, not so cheap stuff, and stuff in between. So yeah, let's just get stuck into it. For the first time ever, I've actually got some CD singles to show. So yeah, these were dirt cheap, but yeah, I know. A number of people in our little community have been buying this one recently. It's the Regulate single, of course, with Warren G and Nate Dogg for the Above the Rim soundtrack. I didn't get it for the actual Regulate song, however, because you can get that either on the Above the Rim soundtrack or you can get it on Warren G's first album. But the bonus tracks are kind of significant. You have Tupac Pain and Tupac Tretch and Riddler with Loyal to the Game, and those were songs that were supposed to be on the Above the Rim soundtrack, but they were taken off and they were only on the cassette version, so they're kind of sort of somewhat rare songs. And the Pain track is just fantastic. That's one of Tupac's best songs. So that's the best way to get it, in good quality, good CD format is to get the Regulate single. There's also a release called like the Above the Rim, Music from Above the Rim EP, I believe it's called, and it's that is similar, but it has like some other like R&B songs or whatever. But that's very expensive, so yeah, I would recommend getting this instead. Definitely worth it. There's another version of this. I have the version that has two versions of Regulate. There's like the radio version, which is the one that we all know, and the jamming mix, which is like pretty much the same. It just has like subtle differences, like added vocals here and there and things like that. But it's pretty similar. But there's another version that has like a lower G song or something. And yeah, I don't have that one, unfortunately. Yeah, that one's. I would prefer to have that one rather than having two versions of Regulate. But oh well. Next thing I'm gonna show off is another 1994, uh, you know, Death Row related soundtrack single. It's the Natural Born Killers CD single. Now the reason why I got this one, of course, you can get this song with just buying the Murder Was the Case soundtrack, but I bought this because I saw that it had free versions of the song. One of them is the video edit, and I thought that I really wanted that version because it has like the awesome like extended intro and the outro and all that, and I thought that would be a really good version to get. The problem is with that version is that it's the clean version, but it's not even as good as the radio edit fits on here because the radio edit, I like back then artists actually took the time to record re-record their vocals, for the clean version, and they actually replaced the expletives with other words, which is the case for the radio version. But for the video version, they don't do that. They just sort of or they blank them out. So yeah, that's a little bit disappointing. But I'm still glad to have that version. And yeah, you get the LP version, the radio edit as well, and you also get the song "What Would You Do" by the Dog Pound, which is good. Which is good because I actually don't have the Murder Was the Case soundtrack yet. I'll get it someday. It's dirt cheap, but yeah. So this I yeah, it was dirt cheap, and I got it anyway. Natural Born Killers is one of my all-time favorite songs anyway, so I don't mind just having that. Next up, continuing on with some more uh, cheap stuff. Speaking of what would you do, there is a response to that song on this next album that I'm going to show. Street of the Streets of Motherfucking Compton by Eazy-E. This came out in 1996. Some people say it came out in 95, but it's copyrighted 96. So, yeah, this is a posthumous release, but all of these songs were actually worked on by Eazy, and these, his full involvement was involved. But originally, this was going to be a double album and stuff like that. But of course, he died in '95, and um, wasn't able to finish that project the way he wanted to, unfortunately. Um, yeah, I feel like people never actually talk about this album, compared to his other work like Easy Does It or the EP. It's on Dre, 187 Killer. Like I feel like those are definitely both more well known, but people don't really talk about this, and I think the reason for that is just because it didn't really have like a big single. The two singles off this were Just to Let You Know and The Real Motherfucking Real, which features MC Ren. And yeah, it didn't really have that sort of exposure, you know. And yeah, this came out in '96, and I don't know, I just think there were more um, high profile releases that people were looking forward to, sort of thing. But this is a good album, very good album actually. I like the sort of darker production style that um, he was going for, and yeah, I like definitely a good number of the songs on here, and yeah, I think Eazy could have even went even darker. Like he could have went for some really grimy stuff. Just his personality and what he's talking about, like he can go for some that sort of crazy style if he wanted to. But yeah, he certainly goes for that a bit on this album, and yeah, I highly recommend this. I feel like people don't talk about this album, and yeah, I got this dirt cheap, so yeah, highly recommend checking this one out. I'm sure a lot of people have, but yeah, just in case you haven't. Speaking of posthumous releases, this one is a proper posthumous release in that yeah, I'm talking about Tupac. Are You Still Down? Remember Me. This is like the first posthumous album that he didn't really uh how will I put it? He didn't see the oversee the project. Technically the Dawn, the 7 Day Fury album was like his first posthumous album, but doesn't really count because he actually worked on that. He overseen that entire project and finished it and everything. But yeah, this is two discs of older songs that he didn't release or didn't finish or whatever. And yeah, some of the songs on here are pretty, and some of the beats on here are pretty questionable. But there's definitely some highlights, some gems on here. Nothing to Lose is one of my all-time favorite Tupac songs, and yeah, there's definitely some good stuff on here. But yeah, this is before they went ridiculous with the posthumous Tupac stuff. Like, they got like Eminem to do production and features with 50 Cent and all that. That's just disgusting. That's just, oh, yeah, can't get behind any of those. But this is good. This is done properly. For the most part. Yeah. So um, that came out in '97. So the next this is also a double album. The next thing I'm going to show you, E40, The Element of Surprise. I know me and my friend Kyle, also known as the Hip Hop Enthusiast, we kind of bought this on a whim because it was really cheap on Amazon. And I like E40 just in general, but I wasn't really like, how would I put it? I wasn't really super hyped to get this album. It wasn't really on my radar. Um, but I liked, the album before it, the Hall of Game. But yeah, it just wasn't really like on my radar. But I actually like this album quite a bit, and for a double album, it's actually pretty good. Um, yeah, he probably could have took some of the lesser songs off and made it into just one CD. But yeah, I actually do like this. It is pretty good. Hope I don't go back. It's like the main single off this one, and yeah, there's a couple other good songs, good production and stuff like that on it. Yeah, enjoyed it. Actually, surprised me. Um, this next one, really happy to get, and I have to thank my man Kyle again for telling me about this because I've been wanting this album for a while, and he managed to see it for a good price. Yeah, it is EPMD's Business Never Personal. This came out in '92. The E40 album came out in '98, by the way. Um, yeah, this is considered like their darkest album and stuff like that. Certainly, one of their more grimy sort of albums. I really liked it a lot. I have the album that came out before this, Business as Usual, as well. And I need to get like some of their other albums, like the earlier albums and stuff like that. But I enjoy this a lot. This is like a nice short album. It's like only 38 minutes long, and yeah, good grimy production, good rhymes, stuff like that. I just enjoyed it quite a bit. I don't know what the singles are of this, but let me think. Uh, no, no, I don't think I remember. I think Crossover. I think that's a single. I might be wrong. I think that's a single. But yeah, this would be like the last EPMD album for a little bit because they would split up after this over money differences and things like that. And yeah, and they both went on to do a couple of solo albums, and then they eventually got back together and did the Back in Business album in '97. So yeah, I need to get more from them, and I'm really happy to get that album because out of all the EPMD albums, at least from what I can tell, that one's the one probably the rarest and goes for the most money. But yeah, happy to pay not so much for that. Speaking of duos, I guess let's move on to another one. Blase Blase Blah Blah Blah. This came out in '96. Um, I haven't listened to this one a ton. I've listened to it two times, I think, and I enjoyed it. I think it's a good album, good production, and but it's kind of quite a chill album. You know, it's not like aggressive. You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of more it's just something you can listen to and enjoy. And yeah, I enjoyed this. I have to say thanks again to Kyle, you know, because he told me about the price for it. And I have to say thanks to Mike, you know, Mike Sears as well, because he put me onto this album. He told me to check it out, and yeah, um, I heard like a couple of songs on YouTube and thought it was right up my alley, and yeah, glad to have this. So yeah, Blase Blase Blah Blah Blah. That came out in '96. And finally, I've got like some rap a lot albums, and these are ones that I paid up a bit for, but yeah, I'm really happy to have all of these. The first one is Scarface's first album, Mr. Scarface is Back. This came out in '91, the same year that We Can't Be Stopped came out. Really good, really good album. I enjoy this a lot. Born Killer is probably my favorite song. Yeah, this is quality gangster lunatic stuff. If you like the song Scarface from you know Grip It On That Other Level by the Ghetto Boys, it's kind of that you know put into like an entire album. It's very good, and yeah, I'm really happy. This is the original pressing and stuff like that. So yeah, really happy to have this Scarface. Mr. Scarface is back. Uh, yep, very good, and. Scarface features in both of the next albums I'm gonna show off here. First is the first Too Much Trouble album, Bringing Hell on Earth, which came out in '92. As you can see, it says the Baby Ghetto Boys there, and they kind of were just like a sort of Ghetto Boys knockoff group instead of you know Rap a Lot waiting for Ghetto Boys imitators to come along. I guess they just thought, let's have our own sort of fake Ghetto Boys. I suppose in '92, you know, maybe we were thinking that that was a time when the Ghetto Boys kind of um, their future was a little bit uncertain because Willie D had left and maybe they hadn't, you know, had a game plan. So I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much into that. Maybe this album, you know, wasn't. I think it was being recorded before Willie D left and stuff like that. So I'm probably reading a bit too much into it. But yeah, this came out in '92 and it sort of has that classic sort of funky rap a lot production that I really enjoy. The beats kind of carry this album, but the rap is interesting enough. Like the subject matter in some of these songs is just so outrageous, and you know, the thing that I like about all the rap a lot stuff from back then is that you can tell that Jay Prince just pushed all the groups and all the artists to say the most like ridiculous shit ever. And yeah, I really enjoy that. So yeah, this is a good album. Pretty rare, but I managed to get it for okay price, let's say. Yeah, this I believe the one single from this is the song "Fugitives on the Run," which features Scarface. Yeah, that's a very good song. Samples like uh, Public Enemy, Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos, yeah, and Curtis Mayfield song as well, very cool. That's weird though. It says like that's track 8 on the album, but it's actually the second half of track 7. So that threw me off at first, because when you go to track 8, you know, like on your computer or like on your CD player or whatever, it's not Fugitives on the Wrong. Fugitives on the Wrong is on the Run rather, not on the Wrong. That makes no sense. Is actually the second half of track 7, so that's a bit strange. But yeah, I like this album. It's not brilliant by any means, but yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. And this next one is an album that I've been wanting forever and ever and ever, and it usually goes for silly prices online. And I got it for, you know, I paid up for it, but you know, not as much as what you'll generally see for it. So I was happy to get it. It is Gangsta Nips, the South Park Psycho. This is the original pressing from 1992. Um, Gangsta Nip, very dark, very crazy. One of those albums that is, sort of a shock out, kind of like he talks about crazy dark shit, but at the same time it's funny because it's so ridiculous, and just a lot of his lines are so like out there, and just he's just a very strange guy. But yeah, I really enjoy this album a lot. Horror movie rap is just very funny, and features Scarface again, Willie D, Seagram, the terrorists who were like a group, like a duo, I believe, Dopey and Egypt E. They were actually producers on this album as well. They put out an album in '92 called like Terror Strikes, Always Business, Never Personal, something like that. Sounds like an EPMD album, but yeah, I would like to get that, but it goes for sky high prices, you know. This album tends to go for sky high prices, and I don't intend to pay sky high prices really for anything. I sort of wait, and I sort of managed to get this one for, I paid up for it, like I said, but it wasn't too bad. Yeah, this is that's crazy songs in it. For sure, Disgusting is lives up to that name. Slaughter is all about him like killing cops and stuff like that. Yeah, very good, very dark production and stuff like that. Um, yeah, definitely. Excuse me. Definitely well worth checking out. It's on YouTube and stuff like that. So if you've never heard this one before, check it out. Gangsta Nip, the South Park cycle came out in '92. And that's the end of that video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll come back whenever I have more. So thanks, guys.